genocidal operations going on here, where entire families, entire neighborhoods, and I'm telling you what, they're clearing out these neighborhoods. They're clearing out neighborhoods, they're clearing out areas, and they are getting people out of whole entire geographical regions, and it's kept quiet. I mean, unless you know, you don't know. It's not in the news, okay? And this is not a civilian corporate state. So most people are under oath of some level and some degree, and they are not going to talk about it if they know. And it does not matter if it's their own children and their own families. It does not matter to Americans. That is the reason why what I have done to these people and what I am doing now is this is something that has never ever happened in all of US or UN history, and that's the reason why. Because it doesn't even matter that it's their own children getting kidnapped, trafficked, and sold and raped and crucified and eaten for lunch at Buckingham Palace. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They ain't talking. They're not fighting for their missing people. They don't matter. They are not part of the solution. They are the problem. They are the cancer of this world. See, the bee is back. He was gone again. One of his several hundred trips a day to the hive, and now he is back. See, squirrels don't want that store-bought shit. They will eat it if they get desperate, but once they figure out I don't have any nuts. But you want to know what? I believe that I do have these kinds of nuts. What are they called? Acorns. Yes, I do. But they usually don't want these either. And the reason why they don't usually want these is because these are plentiful. They can pick them up off the ground anywhere, just like I do. And they know this. So they really want peanuts, walnuts, and almonds that they can't just go pick up off the ground anywhere here in this disgusting place of Michigan, USA. So we'll leave those. Maybe they'll eat those. Okay, maybe they will eat the bread crumbs. Maybe they won't. And I should, okay, and I usually always do, just as a lifestyle practice, I usually always have a bowl of water outside for the animals, the birds, and the insects. However, I don't have anything to keep water in, believe it or not. I have very, very limited and few supplies in this little, probably 15 to 20 square foot space of shelter that I'm using, if it's even that big. But thanks God, it's absolutely wonderful. I love it. I love it. I am so grateful and I am so thankful that I do not have to be living in a house, an apartment, or, any other kind of building. I am so grateful. I am so grateful to be right here just with wood, no internet, no electrical or nothing. I have to bring electricity from an external source, and I have to go and fetch water from an external source, and I have very, very few supplies. I have a lifetime of stuff, what's left of it, that I have not gotten rid of, packed up, and, including hundreds and buckets and buckets of honey. okay, and a couple 100 pounds of beans and rices and other survival whole foods. My fire pits. I have gas cooking stoves, 2 different types. Um, I have heaters. I have everything, but I can't keep everything with me. So I pay to keep my stuff in storage, and I just get what I need as I need it. I keep what I can for daily survival and use because I can't always just go, I can't just go bother the people all the time and go in and out of their houses to get my stuff. But I'm going to tell you, the way I am living is absolutely wonderful. I love it. Okay, it's like Joe Biden said, you will own nothing and you will love it. And I'm telling you, the physical struggle and the physical hardship is absolutely 100% worth the benefits of living like this. It is 100% worth the isolation, the seclusion, the tranquility, the psychological liberty and freedom. It is so worth not being in a web of invisible, weaponized Wi-Fi and electricity running and radiating through these homes built by standard dimensions according to classified sacred geometry, built specifically with portals within the measurements. Okay, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. And I have been offered in the last 3 weeks, people have offered me rooms in their house to rent. One of them, okay, that dirtball Al, that CIA Macomb County Corporate Counsel with KMG Prestige, that role player who I recorded the phone call where I told him off for his sexual exploitation. Okay, I told you he's a real dirtball. Okay, well, he was one of the people that offered me a room to rent. And that is the reason why, just so that the listening audience knows why it is that we had even exchanged phone numbers in the first place. That is the reason why. So, he's on Harding Street. And I would walk down Harding up to Van Dyke when I'm going to Cattleman's, the shopping center. And every time I'd go past, like, he would be sitting on his porch and he'd say hi, hello, and this and that, and I'd say hi, hello back, like I always do when I walk past the people's houses. And then as I was coming at the corner cross street one day, he was riding back and forth on one of those electric e-bikes that he was just riding up and down his own street. Well, they told me that that they had, and they do this. They called him and they sent him down there, and they did this with some old busted up, broken down, disabled American military vet yesterday too, and that was funny. That people are getting exposed. Okay, that's a good story. That's a good story, and it's going to be really, really bad for America. It's going to be really, really bad for CIA Macomb County Corporate Counsel. It's going to be really, really bad for the Center Line and the Warren PD when I come out with details on this. But to not skip ahead, that dirtball loser who goes by Al, and that's the name on his work shirt, and he's up there at that auto shop where they also own the Coney Island, that big old 500-pound swine-eating sow, Mo, or whatever his name is, with the ice blue demon eyes, the one who can't look me in the eyes. Okay, and they own that Viva Coney Island, and that's, I get so paranoid whenever I go in there. I won't be going in there ever again, though. And I told them, shame on you. And the only reason I was going there, let me tell you the reason I was going there, is for no other reason than it's a Muslim guy in the back cooking the food. Okay, he goes by Fred. His name is Ali. He's new here in the United States, just within the last 2 or 3 years, from Saudi Arabia. I told you about those, trafficking contracts and bringing all these immigrants here and giving them these CIA homeland contracts for espionage against Americans to run these CIA and homeland-owned businesses as cover front owners. Okay, and they're not the actual owners. So, anyways, I got this Saudi guy who's in the back cooking, and at least, okay, even if the food is corporate American fucking shit, I can at least go in there and I can order something like eggs and hash browns. And at least, if nothing else, I know that the hand that prepared it is a Muslim. Okay, here's the black squirrel. Let's see what he's going to do. Well, I can't really give that much trust or credibility because he's not any much better than any of these non-Muslim heathens who he got contracted by and works for. So I went in the other day and I was really hungry, and I'm a regular customer, okay? I pay. That's what fucks me up about these people, okay? I don't get nothing for free. I don't get their fucking food stamps. I told them to stick their fucking food stamps up their fucking ass. I live off of $950 a month. Okay, that pays for any piece of shelter I have to rent for myself. That pays for a gym membership so I can depend on a hot shower if it's too cold to take a bath in a pool. I buy every bite that I eat. I pay for it and I buy. I pay for everything out of $950 a month. And I told DHHS, you can take your $240 in food stamps and you can shove them up your ass. Sit on them, spin on them, take them out, lick them, suck them, and fuck them again. I don't want your fucking food stamps, you fucking dirty, filthy, trifling criminals. Okay, so, and I go up there and I sit down as a paying fucking customer. And, and I didn't want the same eggs and hash browns again. So I ordered real easy shit, folks. Real easy shit. I ordered a sandwich, a lettuce and tomato sandwich. Mayonnaise, lettuce, and tomato on toast. You won't believe what I got. You talk about a fucking insult to mankind. Okay? When she brought the sandwich, I said, I saw something white in it. And I said, it looked like it was the outline of a slab of ham or something closed in the sandwich. So I said, is there meat in this? And she said, no. And I picked up the top part of the sandwich. The tomatoes were white. Not only were the 2 tomato slices that he gave me white, but they were the end of the tomatoes with the core in them. And I had like 2 little leaves of wilted white lettuce. And I called her back and I said, I don't want this. I said, this is an insult to my intelligence. I said, I said, it's completely white. I said, and I don't want it made again. So I ate the French fries. And then she took the sandwich back and she sarcastically says to the non-Muslim in the back, cooking the food, Fred from Saudi Arabia. She doesn't want it. She says the tomatoes are white, all sarcastically. And you know what? I still tipped her $2. I ate the French fries. I paid for the French fries, and I still tipped her $2. And I told her, you tell that guy, shame on him. Shame on him. Okay? That's at Viva Coney Island up there on the corner of Van Dyke and Dale Street, between the Ford Funeral Home and between that auto shop, that big old bucking 500-pound hog of a heifer, Mo, with the ice blue demon eyes that he cannot look me in my eyes with because he's intimidated by my presence like the rest of these demons. And he can feel, they can feel me reading them. Okay, right through the gaze of my eyes. I strip their power away with my eye contact. I really, really do. and it makes him feel very uncomfortable. Ask Ali Mackey. He knows how it feels to be under my intimidating gaze. Ask Ali Mackey, CIA, Macomb County Corporate Counsel, and probably Wayne County. He was the cover front owner of Ali's Lebanese Grill on Van Dyke by 14 Mile Road in Warren, Michigan, USA. Ask him about the power of my gaze that he himself can't tolerate to be under. Okay, that's how this Mo is up there. It's because they're demons. So that dirtball Al, who is a mechanic, and he's connected with those people over there, he was riding his e-bike up and down his street one day after they had called him and told him, here she comes. And he had some song on his radio, and he stopped and he's like, hi, how are you? He introduced himself, and he's like, listen to this song. Okay, and so then, we had small talk, and I went about my business, and at the same time, my detail was telling me, contracted operative, they sent him to make contact with you, which is completely obvious, because like I said, they all say and do the same dumb shit. But sometimes, I told you, I use them up. I use them up for every bit of, for every dollar, every drop of blood, and every pound of flesh that they're worth. And then I expose them, and in turn expose the whole terrorist operation and the terrorists who they are recruited under, who didn't even tell them the whole story because they're being used as sacrificial pawns. And then I throw them all out to the curb. I do what the CIA does, use them up for every bit of their value and their worth, and then I throw them to the curb like the trash that they are. So then I was walking past a few days later, and he was on his porch, and it was, matter of fact, it was the Wednesday before Memorial Day weekend. And he says, so he starts talking to me, and he wanted to show me his garden. And he took me in his backyard, showed me his garden, that he owns the house next door to, and he's in the process of buying the house next to that, and the yard's kind of interconnect in the back, and he's got a huge weed crop growing back there. Well, I guess it depends on your definition of huge, but he's got really some really nice marijuana plants back there, with some really nice buds that you can just like pull off and just like pop in your mouth and just like eat the flower just like that. And he's got like a shack. They have like an indoor shack with a screen door and stuff that's built for stray cats and to go in and stay warm in the winter, which I think is so great. And he's got a garden with tomatoes, and he's like, go ahead, pick and eat whatever you want. And then he was telling me, he's like, I have rooms for rent, and there was a lady, Linda, sitting on the step outside the side door smoking, and he's like, this is Linda, she rents one of my rooms. He's like, I own this house, I own that house, I'm buying the house next door. He's like, I'll rent your room. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to take your phone number. I says, and keep you as a resource in case I need to take you up on that in the future. I made it very clear to him that I'm not interested in renting a room at this time, that I'm very, very comfortable with where I'm at and what I'm doing right now. But there may come a time in the future where I need to take him up on that, so I took his number. And then he thought it was okay to use my number to call me about 9:30 later that night to sexually exploit me with his dirty, filthy mind. Because let me tell you what they do. CIA, Macomb County Corporate Counsel, and Homeland Security, what they do. They send these dirtball drunkards and drug addicts and biker gang losers and these eggers and this disgusting vile trash from the bottom of America's barrel. They send them to target Muslim women who are in full hijab, in full modest Muslim dress, alone with no male guardianship or protector. okay, which they don't, well, they think they know everything because CIA Macomb County Corporate Council tells them that, like me, for example, she's not really a Muslim. She's just faking. And she's under investigation, and she's mentally ill and all this. So they slander your name, and then these sacrificial pawns and all their natural American-born ignorance and arrogance, they think they know more about you than you do. And then they approach you, and they it's like they don't even notice that you're a Muslim or in full Muslim dress, and you're wearing hijab, and they literally they sexually exploit you with their filthy, dirty, pornographic minds. So he called me, and I wish I would have recorded the call, because he started with the same thing they all say. With their worthless, meaningless, pathetic lives that are dependent on CIA manufactured sports, entertainment, and media, which my life is not dependent on. They start with this. Don't you ever get lonely and need some companionship? Don't you? I'm talking about like just a warm body to lay next to you. And I told him no, straight out no. No, I serve a higher purpose. I have already served my purpose in this lifetime as a wife and a mother. I have not been in a dating or intimate relationship since the last one I was in ended in 2013. And I have absolutely no interest in one. And I serve a higher purpose now. And no, I don't get lonely. I am my own best friend. And the Holy Spirit of Allah is with me personally and intimately at all times as my guardian and protector, to make up for the male guardian and protector that I don't have. And, there's nothing more pleasing to me than the silence of my own thoughts. There are too many interesting things in this vast universe of Allah's creation. Which of his favors will you deny? There are far too many interesting things, amazing things that you cannot even put into verbal language to describe, to sit and think and ponder about, that you should have endless thoughts of all the amazing, interesting things, okay, to discover. That there should never be any reason why anybody ever feels bored, and nobody should ever feel lonely. They should never feel like they need somebody, some external source to validate and complete them. So I don't have these issues. They can't understand that. So then this dirtball turns the conversation towards, well, what is it with women like you that reach your age, and then you go through menopause and things, and look, buddy, you're crossing a red line, motherfucker. No, it don't have anything to do with menopause. It has absolutely everything to do with the fact that you are worthless, you are useless, and you are vile garbage. You need a warm body. You need to feed your flesh with sinful acts of fornication and these people, that's what I mean. Useless, worthless people who have nothing, absolutely nothing to live for except their fucking job, their paycheck, and their snap it together yourself plastic furniture from IKEA. Okay, which is another thing. I am very, very resentful. I am really, really sick of this fucking plastic snap it yourself IKEA furniture built fucking world. Okay, that's what you get for Department of Defense child slave labor. That's what you get for your money in corporate commercialized America, folks. Okay, so get your stuff imported, particularly your food. That's what I do. I try very hard to always shop at foreign markets and get imported. Okay, whether it's uh, from Turkey or Belgium, Denmark. Um, you don't want to buy Israeli products. And matter of fact, they're trying to charge some Muslims with federal crimes now in Texas. This Mayor Abbott, who doesn't know a goddamn thing about Sharia law. He wouldn't know what it was if it chopped his own head off. He doesn't have a fucking clue what Sharia law is or isn't. He's now waged a war on Sharia law, and he has outlawed and banned Sharia law in the state of Texas, and they're going after some Muslims. And I've only been able to see very little, so I don't actually know who the people involved are or all of the details yet, because they are restricting me and keeping me isolated and cut off from the outside world. But from the little I've been able to gather, there's a Muslim sheikh who's supposedly a well-known and respected Muslim sheikh, who the Muslim community is building, just like what Imran Hussein of Trinidad says we need to be doing, and he is exactly 100% right. Except I'm not included in that we, because America's CIA and Homeland contracted Muslims. They won't have nothing to do with me, and that's okay, because I don't want anything to do with them. As far as I'm concerned, they're all a bunch of hypocrites and a bunch of fakes, and as far as I'm concerned, they're Luciferians. You can't serve two masters at the same time. You can't be in a CIA satanic contract or a Homeland or FBI contract, okay, or wearing a Luciferian uniform on America's police force and still serve Allah at the same time. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. I don't care how much fucking Hadith, how much Sunnah, how much Quran you want to beat me over the head with. It doesn't work that way. You can't serve two masters, okay? And pulling up your skirt and bending over and letting somebody run up inside of you to seal secrecy so you can get your name on a ballot and get yourself voted into office so that you can be the change that you want to see while you extend an olive branch out to America's CIA Scientology contracted Christians and Jews for your unity and dialogue, where you want to just forget all the differences and focus on the similarities with your so apologetic Muslims are all about peace and love bullshit. I'm not interested. Take your modern American Islam and stick it where the sun don't shine. Your Rand Foundation engineered Islam, where a Muslim can do anything a non-Muslim can do, even go to the NBA or become Miss America on an occult blood ritual sacrifice and child sex sacrifice and cannibalistic human feast. I don't want your Islam, America. So, it appears to be that the American Muslims are now waking up, and they are now carefully and selectively speaking up. Now that it's way too late. It is years, it is decades too late. And they don't support me. They never did support me. Okay, and as a matter of fact, they, just pretend like they don't even know this is happening, although they are directly involved. Okay, and it wasn't until October 7th, 2023, with what's happening in Palestine, that they started even speaking up or saying anything very, very selectively. And of course, of course, completely peaceful and full of love, of all the love that Islam has to offer. Um, of course, got to make that very, very clear. It's all very, very peaceful with peaceful dialect. Okay, focusing on the similarities as people of the book, which they are not. Okay, they keep spitting this shit out their mouths. These scholars, these Islamic scholars, who, by my own admission, I will admit, many of them, if not most of them, if not all of them, are far more intelligent than I am. They are far more educated than I am. And they know much more about the Quran, the Sunnah, and the Hadith than I do. Okay? However, they keep spitting this shit out their mouth that Muslims, Jews, and Christians are all people of the book. No, it doesn't say Jews. It says Beni Israel. Okay? Beni Israel is not equal to Jew. It is not interchangeable with Jew. Hebrew is not interchangeable with Jew. I am Hebrew. I am Beni Israel. I am not a Jew. Nebi Ibrahim is known in the biblical scriptures as Abraham the Hebrew. He was not a Jew. Okay? Those of Jacob and the 12 tribes, the tribe of Judah, which is my prophetic family bloodline, that we are Beni Israel. Okay? Jew is a satanic cult practice that came out of Babylon. All right? It's not interchangeable. Okay, and it's the same with the Christians. This is Santa Claus Christianity here in Rome, okay? Where they're worshiping Zeus. They're worshiping an entity that is one and the same as Lucifer, the light bearer, okay? And whose name has been Jesus since about 400 years ago. Ever since a pedophile, sodomite, cannibal named King James wrote the bastardized English version of the King James scriptures, and put the name Jesus in there, while they have translated names like the Prophet Muhammad right out of the biblical scriptures. Research it. They have translated people's names, including the Prophet Muhammad, right out of the biblical scriptures, and have omitted entire books and have deleted entire verses and everything else just to hide the truth. So, no. And I do not read Arabic. I barely can read English, which I taught myself, and I do not even speak proper English.